If there's one holiday special worth celebrating, it's Family Guy's Road to the North Pole. This Emmy award-winning episode chases the holiday spirit and how the town of Quahog is clouded by selfish thoughts. This is influenced by consumerism and how the magic of Christmas has been taken away by corporate greed. I love seeing the myth of Santa Claus brought into question, blurring the lines of fantasy and reality. It begs the question, could Santa really survive in the contemporary world? I applaud the Family Guy writers for successfully condemning Christmas as an overt consumer-based holiday. Using twisted ideas and dark themes, the holiday season is challenged for no longer holding its innocence. Of course, this is all done in good fun and for entertainment. Despite the exaggerated storytelling, the episode holds some truth in its festive morals. Road to the North Pole is the second ever Family Guy Christmas special and easily over-delivers in quality.
Bitch.
With an extended runtime, this story is part of the show's 9th season, where the series changed to a HD format. I mention this because the animators took full advantage of this upgrade with beautiful backgrounds and unique character designs. The Road 2 episodes are fan favourites and some of them as critically acclaimed. Revolving around Stewie and Brian, the pair take over an entire episode, allowing for more absurd and creative opportunities in storytelling. Featuring unique opening credits and musical numbers, these episodes are a recognisable testament to seeing Family Guy at its absolute best. I really appreciate how the writers are given more creative freedom to experiment with content that goes way beyond Spooner Street. Following the whimsical opening credits, we are introduced to Ron MacFarlane, father of show creator Seth MacFarlane. It's rare to see Family Guy break away from animation, but I like this cozy setting reminiscent of classical Christmas films.
Anyway, Seth came out of my penis, and now he made this.
Narrating the story ahead, we begin with the first musical number. Music has always been a strong point for the series, especially when Seth MacFarlane is performing the vocals. All I Really Want for Christmas embraces the voice acting talents of each cast member and is one of my favourite songs from the entire show. Reinforcing how the holidays have lost traditional meaning, each character rhymes off their biggest wants and desires. Where the majority of these requests are completely ludicrous, Brian is the only one who sees this. I like how greed is illustrated through ignorance, shutting down Brian's realistic point of view for being negative. He looks down on the family wishes, sticking to his role as the cynical member of the household. I also noticed when comparing the broadcast version to the DVD version of this episode, the song lyrics are different in comparison.
Doesn't this seem like too much stuff?
Pull on you, it's not enough.
Doesn't this seem like too much stuff?
Suck my dick, it's not enough.
It's a shame the DVDs are no longer in production. One of the main selling points was the extended scenes and alternative takes that you would never see on TV and streaming services. Doubling down on festive greed, Peter clarifies what Christmas means to him, that it's all about getting. This becomes a generalized opinion for the rest of Quahog. No longer are the holidays about sharing and bringing joy to others, instead it's all about receiving as many material items as possible. Shifting the focus to Stewie and Brian, the Griffins visit their local shopping mall where Stewie wants to meet Santa. It's ironic to see the family admire the nativity scene with how little meaning it has to their Christmas celebrations.
Can you just imagine how it was on that special night in Bethlehem?
And there's flies on its head!
Despite Stewie's genius intellect, his wholesome childlike innocence is something I wish we'd see more often. He's excited to see Santa and asks Brian if they can cut in line with Quagmire. Revisiting one of my favourite ongoing gags, Quagmire despises Brian, where his attempts at conversation come across as creepy. To make matters worse, he unintentionally mistakes Quagmire's niece for a little boy with short hair. It's revealed the poor girl has undergone chemotherapy, hence the hair loss, causing Brian to feel mortified. Like always, Brian is written to be the bad guy for simply trying too hard. Shamefully going to the back of the line, time passes where Stewie can finally see Santa, but he is unfortunately too late. The mall Santa doesn't even bother to acknowledge him. His shift is over and he clocks out, leaving Stewie disappointed and angry. He doesn't understand the concept of a mall Santa taking this ill treatment to heart. This is the catalyst for the pair going to the North Pole, which appears innocent at first. It's upsetting to see his disappointment disappointment and how the feeling of rejection is enough to fuel this ridiculous plan. Brian doesn't entertain the idea, knowing it will be a complete waste of time. Santa is not real, or at least Brian doesn't believe and therefore refuses. That is until Lois receives a phone call. Quagmire shares that he is extremely upset because his niece has taken a turn for the worse health-wise. Something at the mall apparently set this off, and running away from his troubles, Brian is very eager to leave the house.
Alright, let's go to the North Pole.
Cutting to the next scene, Brian has supposedly driven Stewie to the North Pole, which isn't exactly true. Arriving at the North Pole, in Rhode Island, Stewie's innocence takes over once again. He wants to believe he's really there, but something isn't quite right.
Yo, what's up, y'all? Y'all's ready to kick it in some fine North Pole gear?
Brian, why does the North Pole have black teenagers?
Seeing the terrible conditions also helps to reinforce how the holiday spirit is a second thought in favour of selling novelty festive crap. When Brian is rumbled, he's forced to tell the truth, but not the full truth. Stewie then reveals his plan was based on revenge, hoping to murder Santa for treating him poorly at the mall. At this point, Brian wants to tell Stewie the truth, that Santa does not exist, therefore putting an end to the conflict. But before saying too much, he cuts himself off.
Trust me, it's a waste of time. You're not gonna find Santa.
Why not?
Because there's no such... Because when you get there, you may find out it isn't what you thought it was.
Moving the story along, he's set on going north, hitching a ride with a lorry driver as Brian desperately follows. One flare gun accident later, and the pair are stuck in Canada. I love the attention to detail and how the animators were able to capture this level of chaos in one continuous shot. Knowing Stewie will not give up, Brian is forced to reveal the full truth, potentially ruining his young friend's childhood. Believing in Santa is integral to Stewie's innocence, and I like how he immediately goes into denial about this big reveal. Making an estranged deal with Brian involving Lois and breastfeeding, he is convinced to continue the journey. With the car out of action, conveniently, an overly polite Canadian gives them the essentials to carry on going north.
That's what Canadian hospitality is all about. If you like, you can have all my money and my leg.
Okay.
Put it this way, you can walk all over a Canadian, but not the other way around.
Ha!
Damn right, huh?
Overcoming obstacles is something the pair frequently face, and I like how the writers decided to call out this trope instead of making it a crucial part of the story. I do enjoy seeing Family Guy utilize unusual fantasy elements without it becoming overbearing to the main plot. Particularly with this story, it's important to retain a level of realism looking at the harsh reality of the festive season. Running out of gas, the snowmobile comes to a stop, but luckily the Aurora Borealis guides the pair to a log cabin for shelter. This cameo is completely unnecessary, but it's one of the funniest parts of the special. Actor David Boreanaz agreed to participate in the episode, and in exchange, McFarlane voiced Stewie for a creepy cameo in the Fox series Bones.
It's impossible.
And yet we converse.
Oh!
Ooh, look, a pile of porn. Delicious. Give me a peek, Booth. Just a little peek at a booby?
One natural disaster later, and to their disbelief, Brian and Stewie find Santa's workshop at the North Pole. Brian foreshadows earlier that the North Pole will not be what they think it is. He expects to find nothing, but instead, they discover a frightening reality. Ruined by the harsh demand of greed, the North Pole has become a nightmare. Their eager eyes are met with a real horror show of toxic clouds, polluted frozen water, and a fragile Santa Claus on his last legs. It's devastating to see what's become of Santa's workshop, now a depressing factory. Stewie is still set on murdering the big man himself, but is surprised when Santa reveals that he wants to die.
I'm Stewie Griffin, and I'm going to kill you.
Ah, thank God.
I love the dark visuals that aid Santa's explanation. He reveals how the world is asking for too much and that he cannot meet the demand. He has tried, but in doing so, the North Pole has become an ugly shell of its former self. Taking a tour of the workshop, I love the morbid creativity from the artists and animators making this frightening reality come to life. I do find it contradictory to see Brian blame Santa for letting things spiral out of control. He understands more than anybody about the world's greed and that this is now responsible for the overwhelming workload, but is defensive nonetheless. Reaffirming their point, Santa and the elves break out into song, which is my favourite scene from the episode. Actor Bruce McGill, who voices Santa Claus, does an impeccable job performing the vocals. I love the fluid transitions and the morbid imagery showing how demanding expectations really are responsible for ruining Christmas. Stewie and Brian do attempt to convince Santa otherwise, to no avail. Shutting them down, I love this grotesque, overly detailed shot of Santa's face. It's reminiscent of something you'd likely see in SpongeBob or Ren and Stimpy. He exclaims that he is only 28 years old and the workload has aged him horribly. Coughing up blood, Santa is in no fit condition to go out on Christmas Eve, and if he does, he will die. When all is seemingly lost and it looks like Christmas won't happen, Brian steps up to try and save the holidays while Santa recovers. Stewie agrees to make the impossible possible, and together they take over the role of Father Christmas. Getting the sleigh ready, they need to use elf flesh to fly with the feral reindeer. I'm not usually a fan of these time-consuming Family Guy gags, but the cruelty of slowly stealing an elf's arm really cracked me up.
Bye.
Delivering more beautifully animated cinematic shots, the sleigh crash lands in the US. Trying their hardest to successfully deliver presents to everybody, Brian and Stewie quickly realize the task is impossible. Their first delivery is a disaster, and although they have the right intentions at first, things do fall apart. Thinking that they're doing the world a huge favor, Brian's ego gets the better of him. The pair are caught in a stranger's home delivering gifts, but instead, this is viewed as a threat. These next few scenes are painfully funny, and I love how absurdly violent this home invasion becomes.
Oh my God, we're in the wrong house. Damn it, we tripped the alarm. Brian, the cops are coming, let's go!
I applaud the writers once again for blurring the lines of fantasy and reality, showing how the myth of Santa Claus is impractical.
No wonder Santa lost his mind. This is ridiculous. We can't do this. Nobody can. It's inhuman.
This realization moment is an integral scene, seeing both characters come to terms with how the world's expectations are unrealistic. Therefore, the only way forward is to dial back the demands. When the world wakes up on Christmas Day with no presents, Brian and Stewie conveniently broadcast the harsh reality over Channel 5 News. Showing the world what their greed has done to Santa helps to reaffirm a new holiday message. Less is more because one gift is more than sufficient.
One Christmas gift a year for each one of us. Can we live with that?
Otherwise, the world may have to give up Christmas altogether. I like the connotations that go with this notion. For example, appreciating what you already have and how asking for too much removes the magic and mystery from receiving a gift. Fast forwarding 1 year into the future and the people of the world have stuck to their promise. Santa and the elves are happy and healthy, and the world is celebrating Christmas without the influence of greed. It's great to see the citizens of Quahog happily unwrapping their presents with no desire to want anything and everything. I heavily respect Family Guy for telling a fun story with a notable moral about being thankful for what we have. Instead of asking for more, we should be grateful for the fact that we can receive anything, even if it's just one gift. Restoring the holiday spirit, the world once again has Christmas to look forward to. That's going to do it for this episode of Animation Preservation, looking at Family Guy's Road to the North Pole. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments, do you have a favourite Christmas special? As always, I love hearing your thoughts and opinions. And for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?